You going?
Hi. Well, let's recap a little. In the Drop in the Bucket story, it showed us how our self-esteem, how we think and feel about ourselves, is affected by the others and the way they react to us and talk to us. The way we communicate with each other has a huge impact on, an effect on each of us in our families and with our friends. So we need to help each other be all that we can be in the game of life, right? So in order to do that, it's best to practice your communication skills. Communication is key to being connected throughout your teamwork in this game of life. You've probably heard the saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And pictures can help us kind of bring everything together and give us a visual. I'm a visual person. If you tell me something in my ear, I may not remember it, but if you show me a picture of it, then I'll remember it. And even better, if I do it myself. If I practice it myself with my body and my mouth, then I'm more likely to remember it. So we're going to do a little bit of all of that today. We're going to build a picture about ways to communicate and how to keep us connected to each other and our families, and how good communication can help us to respect each other and really honor the true worth that we are in the eyes of God. Here we have a palm tree. What are some of the things that a palm tree could possibly represent? Figuratively and literally.
An island.
Yes, yes, an island. The island is what we're going for here, not just a palm tree, sorry about that. What about it can describe adolescence to us? Anybody? What describe the island and the
It's bendable, flexible.
sways in the wind, can be influenced one way or the other. Anybody else? Sometimes you feel like you're alone, like nobody understands you, which sometimes is true and sometimes not so true, but that's definitely a legitimate feeling. Great. Let's see. Over here, you know what? Let me move it over. Here we have a skyscraper, which represents the parent. How can this, talk to me about how this could represent a parent to you in your mind.
It's tall, somebody you look up to it. It's grounded.
All right, so
Strong.
physically it's tall and grounded. So looking up to tall things, you also look up to your parents for, their advice. It's strong. You see them, hopefully you see them as strong role models for yourselves. Those are very positive things. Sometimes, you go to a big city and you stand in the middle of all these skyscrapers and you're like, wow, it can be overwhelming at times, and you feel like that's just huge, and I'm just this big, and sometimes you feel like you'll never measure up. Or you can look to those role models and say, wow, I want to be like that when I get bigger, It can be some really good goals to have. Let's see what else we have. Our channel of separation. So what happens between the two, the parent and the adult, is that there's a natural separation. Parents, I don't know about you, but when I grow up, when my kids grow up, I still feel like a kid sometimes. When my kids grow up and they're 35 years old, I'm going to be hoping that they're well on their way to adulthood and are not necessarily still living in my house. That may or may not be the case. I'll let you know when it happens. So it's natural to have some sort of separation, and even when your kids are in the house, you have a bit of separation that leads to their maturity. The more they represent their responsibilities to you, the more you can trust them with things that maybe you didn't trust them with a couple of years before, like a later curfew or something like that. So even though there is this separation, we don't want to fall into it, into the depths like forever and not be able to get out. It's not like sink or swim. So there's something else that we need here to keep these two connected. And that's the bridge of connectedness. And you'll notice on the regular whiteboard they'll be touching for taping purposes. That it's a two-way bridge. It's not just one way. And that's where effective communication is going to come into play. You can't, as a parent, we can't just be talking to our kids. And in the same way, the kids can't be just telling the parents, I want, you better give me all the time, right? It has to be mutual communication. There's going to be times where the adult has to make the adult decision, right? And the parent and the children will have to respect that. So this will close the gap between the parent and the child, and will help you along the way to the maturity of adulthood. Let's see. Now we need to talk about what's going to keep that bridge up. It can be connected here and here, but when the wind starts blowing and all that, and the traffic is flowing, it's going to get heavy, right? And we don't want it to fall in the water. We want it to stay up. So, what holds up a bridge? Anybody?
The pylons.
Pilings, yeah, that's right. Just one of them, or like a bunch of them? What do you think?
A lot of them.
A lot of them, that's right. And some, because the bridge is not just a straight line, they have to be different sides. So let's say our communication skills have to be kind of weighted in a similar way. Sometimes we need to use this kind of communication, sometimes we need to use a different kind of communication. So the 4 styles of communication are, let's start with social talk. This style of communication is kind of like chit-chat or friendly conversation, and we probably do the most of this kind. When you leave this building, or even before you leave this building, think about how many people you say, hi, how you doing? How's the weather outside? How was the game last night? That's basic chit-chatty, small conversation, just to let someone know that you're there, and that you care about what's going on in their life at any given moment. And the next one is, we'll have Aaron and John give an example.
John's my dad.
Yes, I'm proud of my dad. Grandma called today. She's looking forward for her visit.
That's great. When's she coming?
She's coming next Thursday, and we're looking forward to being here for Halloween.
Good. Oh, I'm really glad that she's going to be here. Grandma's a lot of fun.
Especially at Halloween. How'd you do on that test?
Well, I got a B, but that's okay. I think I can do better the next time.
Okay. I really enjoy talking with my daughter and not arguing or yelling. It's fun. We can just communicate and just do a little chit chat. Talk about Grandma and what's coming up, and I think it helps her feel important.
Sometimes I'd rather talk with my friends than with my parents. However, I like it when there's no yelling or arguing, and I know it's important for me to keep talking to my parents about stuff because they like it.
Grandma's funny.
Thanks, Dad and daughter. The next kind of communication is control talk. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. Is that right? What do you think? Okay. Bridge down there. So this style of communication is direct and to the point. The intent is to change someone's behavior or direct their behavior or their actions. And it should always be said in a respectful way, not like in a disrespectful or demeaning way. It may clarify your position in a dispute when maybe it's not understood or not being accepted, and usually requires a little more communication afterwards.
Hey, Dad, can I go to Banana Joe's with some of my friends on Saturday night?
Nah, I've heard about that club.
But Dad, it's teen night, so there's no alcohol. All my friends are going to be there. It'll be really fun.
Honey, it's not about you and not trusting you. It's just about, I've just heard about the place and the type of people who are there, so I'm just not comfortable with it.
Dad.
No, it's my final answer. We'll talk about it later.
I don't like being cut off. I wish that he would really listen to me. I really wanted to go, and I feel like I should be able to control some parts of my life. But I also know he's my dad, and I do respect his decision.
Sometimes I have to get things under control and set limits when it comes to her well-being. Control talk is quick and it gets results, but I also know that later on I have to follow up and talk about decisions and why I said what I said.
Thank you. Next, let's talk about something called search talk. Search talk is listening with your whole body to another person's thoughts and feelings. the goal is to understand the other person's thoughts and feelings better, even if you don't necessarily agree with them. You can use open-ended questions to draw out the other person, what they're thinking. But it's never supposed to be interrogation like, what are you doing, where are you going, why? It's not like that. It's just to get information. And it's one of the best styles of communication to deepen our connection with each other.
Oh, you look bummed out. What's the matter?
I got cut from the team today.
Oh, I'm sorry to make the team. You must be disappointed.
I really am. I tried really hard. I know I'm not as good as some of the other kids, but I would practice so hard, and I think I would do a good job in the end.
I know you worked hard and you tried really hard. What are you going to do now?
Well, I guess I might ask the coach if I can just be a team manager or something.
That'd be good. I can see you thought through it and you still want to be part of the team, and that's a good way to get over your disappointment.
Felt good not to be interrupted and not to be told sorry for myself or given advice. Felt like my dad really understood and took my problems seriously. Made me realize that he really does love me and care about me.
It felt good just to listen to her and to hear what she had to say, and to hear what she was upset about. I didn't feel like I needed to fix anything or give advice, just to be there and to listen and to know that I'm concerned about her well-being, so we stay connected.
Thank you. Next we're going to talk about straight talk. This form of communication is used when there's conflict and the feelings are pretty intense. Usually there's a lot of emotions going back and forth. And you use it to explain your feelings without blaming the other person. It follows a certain formula. You can see this poster up here. Use the I feel poster to practice today. And we'll get a little more into that with our example. But straight talk is always supposed to be respectful, and it's an effective way to get someone to listen to you.
I feel frustrated when I come home from work and the kitchen is a mess from the after-school snacks, and I had to put everything away before I start fixing dinner. I would like the food put away and the counters wiped off after fixing snacks, please.
Well, I feel angry when I have to clean up after all the other kids, because they make a big mess, and it takes a lot of time, and it seems unfair to me. I'd like each person to have to clean up after themselves instead of it just being my chore.
I felt good about being in control and not losing it. I can't scream straight talk, and then she doesn't yell back when you're just firm. Straight talk formula felt strange when I first started using it, but I find that she listens better to what I'm saying.
I like it when he talks instead of yelling at me. I feel like I don't have to yell back. It seems like I can make my point, and he listens a lot better.
Thanks, those are great examples. I like how they made them personal. So let's talk about our bridge some more. We have these filings holding the bridge up. But what might be helpful up here for when the wind is blowing and swaying and maybe there's earthquakes or I don't know, and there's a lot of heavy traffic. And what up here, if you think about the structure of a bridge, could we add to keep it a little more stable? Anybody have any ideas?
Trestle.
Yeah, this is close. A truss.
It's called a trestle though, isn't it? Maybe not.
So just as a truss is the superstructure for the bridge. Let's put it up and see what it looks like. So there are certain qualities that have to exist in communication exist in a relationship for communication to be good. So no matter how good we are at any of these styles of communication, they can still be used just to manipulate someone or put someone down without any real genuine connection to it or genuine communication. So these are the motives that should underlie our communication with others. Let's talk about truth. Being truthful with one another is what builds the relationship and really keeps us connected. We have to have trust, and in order to trust someone, you need to understand and believe that they're going to be telling you the truth. Respect. Remember that the meaning of respect is to honor someone. Communicating respectfully and honoring the other person, even when you're in the middle of a conflict, will go a long way to keep you connected. Responsibility. Responsibility means to think and act rationally and with accountability. And in a relationship, you have to be accountable to each other. And one way to think and act rationally is to be self-disciplined. Self-discipline, also known as self-control, in our relationships helps us to express our thoughts and our feelings in a way that doesn't attack the other person. And it even makes someone to listen to us even more. So if you're trying to get someone to hear you, you're not going to go beat them on the head because they're just going to go like this and they're not going to hear you. But if you're communicating with self-discipline, then they're going to say, oh, and they want to listen more, right? So it doesn't attack the person. And it keeps the flow of two-way communication open. Sincerity. It means that we present ourselves in a pure, sincere, and again, honest way, and so that you can come to know each other, the real you, not just the fake you or someone you're trying to pretend to be. They want to know who you really are. And then empathy is trying to see things from the other person's perspective and leads to better understanding and a smoother ride on the bridge of connectedness. Unconditional love. Love. Loving others despite their mistakes and shortcomings is unconditional love. And when we make mistakes, because we're human, you know, you can apologize and forgive for those things, which is really cements the bridge of connectedness. And what better place for unconditional love to take place is within the family, because those, your parents and your family members and your siblings, are the people that are going to love you the most and are always going to be there for you. So we have all these structures, but now we need something to use. Structure. We need cars for the bridge. If these trusses are in place, then you can talk about anything, any topic. You can talk about the goals you have for the future. Maybe one goal is to start dating, which I'm sure, as you can tell, this is kind of central to why you're here today, is to open up this communication. And to help you to talk about the important steps that lead to dating, because it's not like you're just going to jump right into it. You need to be equipped with the skills that you need and the virtues required to be successful at it. Relationships. You talk about how important it is to have loving relationships with others, which ultimately will mold you and make you stronger in a marriage relationship and as parents. And sexuality. You talk about sexuality and what it means to be a real man or woman. You can talk about life and the big issues and the big questions, like who am I and what is the purpose of life. When we build this kind of a bridge, two-way, with plenty of supports on it, we can stay connected to each other in spite of the natural separation process that we talked about. And that way, as you gradually separate naturally, you know, when you're away at college or when you're off on your own job in the workforce as an adult, as long as you have these skills, these communication skills formed, then you'll always be able to stay connected. We can all be poor communicators at times. Like I said, we're all human. We make mistakes and lose self-control and become stressed out with life's demands. But the important thing is to make sure you stay connected and just come back to it. Just keep coming back together and starting over and trying again. So now we're going to break into small groups and discuss some of these things and practice them as well. The teens will be in a few separate small groups, and the parents will stay here for the parent group. And you can practice. You'll see this. And no one is a perfect communicator right off the bat, so we all need to practice to get better. So let's go do that. Follow the table this way, and your team leader will pick up a small group packet and a flip chart, and then you'll be on your way. Thanks.
Yay!